Hi there, it's Liz Yuille from Old Stables Crafts. Thank you for joining me again today. I'm a UK-based independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Today I am going to be using the New Wonders stamp set. This is one of the host sets, which you will find at the back of your catalogue. Let me find them. Here we go. So these are only available to purchase for free. But you do need to put in an order that is at least £150. Obviously, you can get together with your friends and put one big order in and then share the host rewards between you. The more your order is, the more rewards you get. The other way of doing this would be if you wanted to have a party. So you get together with a bunch of friends and your demonstrator comes along and you put together all the sales from that party, and that then counts towards your stamping rewards. Now, I am very happy to do those either in person if they're within a reasonable distance of where I live, or alternatively I can do them virtually. So on Facebook I can run a virtual party for you and your friends in a standalone Facebook group. It would be a secret group that only you would have access to, and if you're in the UK and were interested in that, obviously let me know and I can go through a bit more detail of how that works. But these are amazing sets. There are four in the current catalogue. This is the new catalogue, and you can see when you look at them. So the soft spring set costs £9 of your free money, your stamping rewards, but is valued at £15. Now the one that I'm using is £12.50 but is valued at £21. So if this was available to purchase, it would cost you £21, but using your free money it will only cost you £12.50. So it's a great way to get some fantastic, almost exclusive stamp sets, because obviously there won't be a huge number of these floating around. And this is the project that I am going to show you how to make today. So we're doing some good old-fashioned cut-it-yourself decoupage to make this stand up. I'm using papers from the Perennial Essence Designer Series paper. These are amazing papers, and I think they cross men and women, they cross generations. They are just divine. So I am very happy to use this sheet for this particular magical, I'm thinking of this as a fairy, magical card. I've used some shimmer mist that I have made using one of our shimmer paints, and I'll talk about that as we go along. And I've also painted some shimmer paint over the top, which I'm hoping is being picked up. It's always very difficult to tell. I think it's being, yes, that's picking it up. So, and I've done some heat embossing and stuff. So it's quite a technical card, but it's not difficult. It just uses a few techniques. So my basic requirements are a sheet of, or a piece of Designer Series paper. I've got some So Saffron and some black blueberry bushel. And a Whisper White card base. That's a half sheet of A4 just scored in the middle to make an A6 card. And then I've got a scrap of Whisper White, which I will also be using. There's quite a bit of colouring required, and I have done some prep on that. And there's also some fussy cutting, and again I've done some prep on that, because otherwise this video would be so long that you kind of would want to give up watching it. And my videos are not known for being short, so let's not be silly. So the first thing I'm going to do is stamp my image in Memento Tuxedo Black onto my scrap of Whisper White. So I'm just inking up well and just stamp that on my scrap. Do remember to give your ink a chance to transfer to the paper. Don't just stamp. That's not gonna be a good way of getting a good result. So I am going to clean that because I will need it in a moment. And I've cut one of my chamois in half and just put it in a half mount case. It's great for when you're using your Stamparatus because it means you can just pick up a half and wipe. So I'm not going to use all of this image, but I am going to use quite a lot of it. So I've got a selection of blends, and by colouring this, we'll show you how I've coloured everything. So I'm picking out colours from the paper. So I've got Blackberry Bliss as my background colour. So the first thing I'm going to do is put light Blackberry Bliss everywhere where there is background. That's her hair. So just come in with your... so basically what I'm going to do is go around the outline first with my bullet tip, because this has got a bullet tip and a brush tip. And I'm not too worried if I go over into the image of the fairy, because we are going to decoupage, but I would rather not. So, and I'm going to extend that out because, well, you'll see why. But I'm then going to colour quite a large area, and I am going outside the circle that she's peeking through, because we're going to die cut a circle for her to peek through. I'm actually going to switch over to the brush tip, because for a larger area it's much easier to use the brush tip. So I'm just going to colour that, come around here. I'm going to stop there because that's going to extend her her dress. Then I'm going to come in with my dark Blackberry Bliss, and anywhere where there is shading in the stamp, if I bring the stamp set in, you can see there's shading here and under her arm. So wherever there's shading, I'm coming in with my dark Blackberry Bliss, just to pick that up. And I apologise if you're hearing funny noises, because a cat has decided to jump over my website, my laptop. Sorry about that. Don't really want a cat jumping on my laptop. So just had a bit of a take the cat off the laptop moment. She wants to get onto the shelf above it, but she mustn't. She knows that. So I'll probably have some fun in a moment trying to reset all the settings she'll have changed. Right, so I've got, for her dress, I'm using light Calypso Coral. I used the dark Calypso Coral on my original, and it was too dark. So I'm going with the light, because I didn't want it quite so dark. And again, I'm bringing that down, because we are going to cut a circle that is bigger than this circle. The circle she's looking through is actually not a circle, just to be useful. Right, so her wings I'm doing in So Saffron, and I am using the dark first and then the light for this, purely because it's a small area and it just suits me better for this particular colour. So Saffron wings. And then, that's all I need the So Saffron for. Then I've got, don't need that anymore, I need this one back. So for her, I'm using light and dark crumb cake, ivory, and I'm keeping the light flirty flamingo. Sorry, Calypso Coral. So the first thing I'm going to do is draw in some rosy cheeks and lip. That's all I need that for this particular area. As I say, I used it for her dress as well. And then come in with the ivory, which looks dark when you first use it, but it fades back as it dries. And then just blend over that area. And it gives her nice rosy cheeks that don't end up looking too much like a painted doll. Do her ear as well. And I'm not worrying about doing colour shading because there is shading in the stamp. So I'll just do her hand and her neck. So that will dry lighter. That's all I need that for. Then for her hair, I've got the light crumb cake, and I'm just colouring that in all over her hair. Just use the tip for those edges, and the rest of this is not going to be showing, so I'm just going to colour it just in case it's seen in the picture when I punch out. And then dark crumb cake for the shaded areas. Now, you don't need to be too accurate with this layer because a lot of it won't be seen, but I'm just going to do it so that you can see what I've done on the other areas, because I'm not going to do this 4 times because you would give up the will. So just decide where you're going to have darker streaks through her hair and just add those in, because it helps give her a bit of definition if you add some darker streaks. And then come back in with your light crumb cake just to blend it in. And that's her drawn. So I want her to peek through our piece of paper. So the first thing I'm going to do is adhere my designer series paper to my So Saffron layer, and I am going to use liquid adhesive because I want to have a reasonable coverage. So I'm going to do a little all over and concentrate on the edges. And just make sure you've got that reasonably well spread, but don't put too much on. And then adhere that. And don't worry about the measurements because those are all, as ever, on my blog post. So you can follow the link which is in the description bar below this video. You can follow the link to that. So I've got 2 circles from the layering circles. It's the second smallest and the 4th smallest, I think. Yes, 4th. So I'm going to cut 1 there and 1 round her. So I'm just going to pop those through the die cutter, and then I shall be back with you. But all I'm doing is die cutting those 2 circles, so you're not missing much. Just me running something through a die cutting machine. So there we go, our circle and our circle. And we don't need those bits. So all I'm going to do with this is stick this behind. And as I say, don't worry if you haven't done a very good job of colouring because she's going to be covered up, so it won't matter. But before I do that, I'm going to do some heat embossing. So I need a scrap of paper and I'm going to add my embossing buddy. I'm going to actually do this in a slightly different colour. I'm going to use silver this time. So I'm going to ink up just this end of the image and then place it so that she's sort of over the circle that you've just created with your die cutting. Press down and pull up, and then while we're doing heat embossing, I've got the congratulations from the same stamp set, and I'm just going to stamp that down below. And then grab my silver embossing powder, which is over here, and let's get that all to one end. Get my scientifically designed piece of cardboard, sprinkle over the whole area. Ooh, get embossing powder in places you don't want it. Let me just get that into there. and on the floor to hoover up later. Right, okay, lid, always a good plan. Put the lid on. I nearly dropped my gold embossing powder earlier. So, now let's grab my trusty cheese board, and the first thing I'm going to do is grab a paintbrush and, oops, actually I need my embossing powder back, because what I want to do is get rid of any of the embossing powder I don't want. And what I want are the little images round the hair. So if I bring this back in, I want the star and the hearts. So I don't want everything that I have picked up with the embossing powder. So it doesn't matter too much because we are going to cover it up, but just in case it's not covered up, I'm just with my brush getting rid of any of the embossing powder that we don't want. As I say, it doesn't matter too much if you do this or not, but I think it just gives you a better chance of getting it in the right place. So, get rid of that, bring in my heat tool, which does mean noise, I'm afraid. Okay, that's that hot, and then just heat emboss, and you can see where I've missed, flicking bits away, but we should be fine. And then make sure we've got the heart, and then of course the congratulations. And then turn that over and just do the back. Doing the back just helps to flatten everything out a bit, because it will warp a bit. But it doesn't actually matter if we've got a bit of embossing powder where we don't want it, because we are going to cover it up. So the next thing to do is to attach our circle. So I'm just grabbing some liquid adhesive, and I'm going around the edge of the back of the die cut circle. I'm going to bring back in my scrap paper and then pop that so it's in the right orientation, and then just pop my circle behind. And there we have our girl fairy stuck behind. So that's that bit. We can now adhere that to that. We'll go this way. So just a bit around the edge, bit in the middle, just to help flatten everything out a bit. Pop that on top, and then I'm going to turn it over and press from behind, because with the liquid adhesive there is a bit of wiggle room, and if you don't want your wiggle to wiggle, then it's better to press from the back, just so that you make sure you get everything where you want it. I'm just going to hold those areas down because they've lifted a wee bit, but they'll be fine. Okay, so I have done previously some fussy cutting. So all I did was stamp the fairy 4 times, once here and then 3 extras, and all I've done is fussy cut round the outside. Now I have done a Top Tip Tuesday on fussy cutting, so I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time showing you fussy cutting because we've already done that. And then I'm popping dimensionals on the back. I've stupidly not drawn my lines on the back of these dimensionals. So, oops, actually that's the second one. So all I've done is on each layer, I've taken a bit more away. So the first layer, I've done all of her face and all of her hair. So let's pop that down. So you just line it up and stick it down. Then on this one, I've taken off that curl and this piece down underneath. So we've taken this curl away, but we've got curl, curl, curl still in place. And just pop that on top. And then the final one, I've taken away pretty much all of her curls and her face. And then we just pop the hair, which is what we've got left, over the top to make our shape. So next, all we need to do is grab some Frost White shimmer paint, and I'm just going to add some of this to, using just an aqua painter. The Frost White is wonderful because it's see-through. Now, if you don't have the shimmer paint, you could use a Wink of Stella, but I am then going to use the Frost White as a spray. So I'm just adding it to her hair, and I'm adding it to every layer of her hair. And that will dry back. Just make sure you get those underneath ones. And then I'm going to add a bit round each of the heat embossed areas. And then wipe that off on a cloth. I've then added some of this to a mister, she says. Now all I need to do is find the mister with it in, which I thought I had kept out and I now can't find. I've put all my misters into one of our tins. Is that it? That's the one. So just can't see it because I need to give it a shake. So this is a mix of water and the Frost White. And I'm just going to bring in my scrap piece of paper again. Now I would recommend at home you probably do this outside, which is where I did the previous one, but you just add a little bit of the Frost White paint to some water and then just spray, and it adds a bit of, as I say, it's easier to do it outside where you can just be a little more generous with your spray, but just add it to your card and it gives it an all-over shimmer. I have got a piece of kitchen paper just to absorb anything that's very wet, but you get what I mean. So we then get this lovely shimmer, and then if I come back in with my heat gun on a gentle setting, that will help speed up the drying process. But you can see why I said that if you get a few bits of embossing powder where you don't want them, it doesn't really matter because it will just look like the shimmer. So it's quite a nice disguise. So then all we need to do is grab our white base, and this is thick whisper white, burnish nicely, and then add this to the back. Add some liquid adhesive to the back of your blueberry bushel. And I am going over the middle again purely to help flatten everything out because it has been moistened. And then add that to the front of your card and very gently, without moving it, press. You can do a little bit of pressure from the back, but obviously with the decoupage, not so much. And there we have our two New Wonder cards. So I hope you've enjoyed that. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. I've been getting quite a few questions about different stamp sets and things like that. If you've got a question about any stamp set, it would be fantastic if you said, so I've got a question that I've got outstanding at the moment about butterfly wishes, and someone said they've got a problem with the butterfly wishes stamp set, but not what that problem is. So if there is something you would like me to help with, I can't guarantee I will be able to because if I haven't got the stamp set I can't help, but if there's something you'd like me to feature or anything like that, if you say, you know, I'm having a problem with whatever, my problem is X, I'll do what I can to help resolve that problem for you. So yeah, Do leave a comment if you would like. As I say, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you don't already subscribe, you can do so in the bottom right hand corner, and then you'll get to know when you come to YouTube, you'll get to know that I have posted a new video. If you would like to purchase any of these items, if you use the host code and your purchase is between £20 and £150, if it's over £150, don't use the host code because you get your host rewards, which means you could get this or one of the other stamp sets, or indeed anything else from the catalogue. But if you do use the host code, then you will get to share in the host rewards. So at the end of the month, I just work out how much the host rewards are, divide by the number of people who have used the host code, and then spend that on everyone who has used the host code. If you order more than £45 in any one order, you will get bonus days voucher, because through July, for every £45 you spend in any one order, you will get a voucher for £4.50 to spend in August. So spend now, save later. If you've got a large order, then the absolute best thing you could do is join my team, particularly during July and August, because you will get extra product in your starter kit. Plus you'll get a money off voucher the month after you sign up. So if you would join in July, you get your money off voucher in August. If you sign up in August, you get your money off voucher in September. But it's just to help you spend in your, get your first order through. So it gives you a discount on your first order. And it's more than the postage. Quite a lot more than the postage. So thank you very much indeed for watching. I hope to see you again very soon. Bye!